Hi, y'all. Good morning. It's Friday. In my world, that still has meaning. Eventually, I won't be in this job anymore, so it won't matter what day of the week it is, right? Time's an illusion anyway. So, some things have been happening lately, and I've regained my balance. I'll try not to expose you to my episodes of imbalance in the future, but as we are all learning here, sometimes I get tough lessons too. Sometimes I fail, right? Because I'm human, wrapped in the same suit you are. So sometimes the lessons are real hard. Sometimes the lesson is learning what the lesson is. So I'm going to tell you a story, and I'm going to try and make it a little bit personal to you so that you can feel what I'm feeling right now as I'm trying to bring this information to you in a thought-provoking manner to hopefully promote change. Let's go back to October of 2018. I had been compelled to learn a whole bunch of stuff about stars and planets that actually changed my identity. Changed everything about who I am and when I was born and everything. But I didn't understand it. Talked about it a little bit with certain people, ones I knew that I was supposed to, that would understand. But so many huge questions and no real answers as to what does this mean and why does it have anything to do with me? Well, I figured out a little bit of the why, but not a lot. And I was told for a long time now, it's not time yet. It's not time to know yet. Wait. And I knew that when the time came, I would get the information from somebody that I would have no doubt, and I would know upon hearing the vibration of their voice that it was true. And there's a few people. So that's 4 months ago. And in that minuscule of knowledge, without the confirmation that I so desperately seek and still await, I did everything that I knew I was supposed to do. Traveled over 3,000 miles through 8 states, met hundreds of people, got tossed out of several places along the way, to the point now where I'm about to walk away from the job that I thought was the whole purpose of my existence, to go into the realm that is the purpose of my existence. I think. Well, I know. That part I know. There's still a lot I don't know. And I've been hanging on pins and needles, looking and waiting for the answers and the confirmations everywhere, anywhere I could find them. I'm telling Father, I'm in it. I've done the work. I've traveled. I'm going to the States. I'm moving away from everybody I love, everything I know. Where I've been out, most of my life has been spent base camp. No matter where I went, no matter what I did, this was base camp. This is where I came back. Always. That's ending very soon. And still, I still don't have the answers and the confirmations I've so desperately sought and waited for. And I almost got them. The night before last, actually. I was on Discord, and we were in the Global Witness Speaks text chat room in there, and Derek was talking and joking, and, we were all interacting, and I was listening. And he was teaching some pretty important stuff. And all of a sudden, he said it. He gave the confirmation. He gave me the words, and I was like, no, he didn't say that. What did he just say? Oh my gosh, other people were talking and interrupting over him, and it was broken up and staticky because nobody would just let him speak and just listen. And I didn't catch it. 4 months. 4 months I waited for those words. And my teacher got interrupted. Okay, I said, it's not time. Okay. All right, I can accept that, Father. My heart was beating, my hands were shaking. I was like, oh my gosh, really, really? Psych. Not this time, daughter. Okay. Very respectfully, I typed in there, could you please repeat that? I didn't expect, under any way, shape, or form, that he would see that. There was too many people in there typing in stuff that, just words without intent. That happens. It's very common. I understand that. And he saw it. And I was like, oh my gosh, he saw it, right? So again, oh my gosh, you guys, I felt like the most privileged and special person in the whole world. Again, he started to give the information. Again, my heart is soaring. My eyes are pouring. My hands are shaking. I can hardly breathe. I'm on pins and needles. Just dying to hear it. Waiting so long, so much behind me waiting for this. And again, my teacher was interrupted. And again, the information was not received. The lesson was broken. And it was not returned to. And I'm appreciative of the fact that I know that someday that information will come forward again. And then, maybe then, I will finally get that confirmation in those words I've been waiting for so long. Changed my life around. Still waiting. But I left that experience sad, disheartened, worried. Because if this is the state of our family, the amount of work that we have to do is far, far greater than I even could have perceived. If we cannot even cease speaking long enough for the teacher to give the lesson to everybody, nobody learns. Walking a real dangerous line, family. Very, very wobbly line we're on right now. Do you know what a chalk line is? I was raised by carpenters and fishermen. I'm not even kidding, right? And my daddy's a carpenter and my mama's people are fisher folks. So, not just my daddy's daddy and my daddy's daddy's daddy and my brother and my son, right? So, carpenters and fishermen. A chalk line is a temporary line that is snapped and established for the purposes of performing a specific task. And then the line disappears. It's a non-permanent form of marking. Something for a permanency. A cut, a screw, a bolt, a connection, a conjunction, a dovetail. Something that requires precision. And a chalk line is something that's snapped. You hold the piece at one end, it sits there, you pull it straight in exactly the trajectory that you need and secure it down. And then you grab the powdered line, you snap it. And it makes that chalk line on that board. Our chalk line's jacked, y'all. We're zigzagging, we're spiraling, we're curving, we're triangling. We're a mess. We can't even allow the teacher to complete a lesson without interrupting with all of our I, 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 followed by, well, they, they. Do you remember what Derek described as gossip? Something to ponder. So that brings me to the point of all of the words that Father has had tumbling around in my head this morning, and the reason that I'm actually bothering to tell you this. because it's really only important to me. But when I'm told to do something, I do it. And when I'm given the words, I use them. So, do you know what sovereignty really means? I mean, we throw it all around. I'm divine, I'm sovereign, I'm free, unindoctrinate myself. Those are all very important. Very true. Great deal of work. And it's a great tagline to help us stay on track. I'm divine, I'm sovereign, I'm free. That's right. Don't forget who you are. But do you know what those words mean? Really mean? Because if you claim those words, you have a responsibility to them. So let's look at what those words are. And if we're actually acting in accordance with what we are claiming about ourselves. Sovereignty. That's a big thing, and it's been changed. Many words have been changed. We know that. Sovereignty is one of them. And it actually has a definition that puts in front of it obsolete. So it's telling us, we changed this and we took this definition away from you because we don't like it anymore. So do you know what the obsolete definition of sovereignty is? Supreme excellence, or an example of it. The obsolete definition of sovereignty. Supreme excellence, or an example of it. Now, I can kind of understand why they might not want us to know that, considering we know who we are and who created us, and we know that we are supreme excellence because our Father created us in perfection. But they don't want us using that definition, so let's find one that they do feel is acceptable, that meets who we are, how we were created, and what our purpose is under our Father's laws. So let's see, sovereignty. Well, the authority of a state to govern itself or another state. Well, what does state mean? State is a means of rule over a defined or sovereign territory. Those kind of circle back to each other, don't they? The authority of a state to rule over a sovereign. But sovereign means freedom from external control, or a self-governing state, or supreme and independent power or authority as possessed or claimed by a state or community. Now see, isn't that interesting? The definitions that they give us of sovereignty include a state having control over something. But the very definition of the word state admits that it wants to rule over sovereignty. Sovereignty is freedom from external control. So those two conflict with each other, right? Freedom from external control or autonomy. That is a very important word right there. Autonomy. Autonomy is a Greek word. It means one who gives one's self his own law. Means freedom from external authority. It refers to the capacity of a rational individual to make informed, uncoerced decisions. So, sovereignty is a freedom from external control and autonomy. Autonomy is one who gives himself his own law, freedom from external authority, and the capacity of rationality. So what is rational? I'm so sorry. Rational is to act on logic as opposed to impulse or whimsy. So we are sovereign beings, meaning that we are free from external control and that we function in autonomy. Autonomy that we function in means that we govern ourselves, provide our own laws, and act rationally. To act rationally means to act on logic and not be impulsive or whimsical in our decision making. Okay, I can agree with all of that. So what does the word interrupting mean? Interesting. Let's see, shall we? Interrupting. To break off or cause to cease in the middle of something. If I cause somebody to break off or cease what they have chosen to do or say in the midst of them actually doing or saying it, have I acted rationally and autonomously within the freedom of my sovereignty? I'll ask that a different way. Is it logical and rational to interrupt the teacher in the middle of the lesson? And in doing so, are we disrespecting their sovereignty? See, I would have let it go, but this isn't the first time. So last night I was like, I really want to socialize and learn and be with these people that are now my family. But I have a very stressful job and I pick up a lot of other people's energies all day long. And sometimes the last thing I can do is be around another person. But times are changing. So in my reaching out and increasing my discomfort at the end of an already uncomfortable day, I decided to once again attempt to participate in a chat room. So I was in the upper room chat room. There was a lesson going on. The speaker was speaking about something that everybody was interested in. I could tell by listening, quietly, silently listening. In the first 2 minutes of trying to learn and participate in that chat room, there were 12 interruptions to the speaker's lesson. The speaker actually said 3 times, "If you would let me finish." But they were not allowed to finish, of course. So let's look at that. 2 minutes is 120 seconds. 12 interruptions is a derivative of 120. So we drop the 0, and that means that we had an average, approximate, every 10 seconds, an interruption to the lesson and the teacher and the speaker in that situation. Because that did throw me into a state of imbalance, I decided I would exit that chat room, refocus, maybe have food for dinner instead of Father, as Father was not present in the conversations in that chat room. In fact, I think I ceased listening the first time. Earlier that night, I had also tried to go in there. I spent 3 attempts yesterday. So I might as well tell you about the first one too, right? When they were talking about the fur thong underwear that they suspected that Naughty Beaver wears, I decided to take my exit. I love Naughty Beaver, and I don't participate in gossip, and I certainly don't participate in such interpersonal things about strangers. It was just very uncomfortable, and it just felt wrong to me, so I left. So the second time I'm in there, about an hour later, I've had food for dinner because Father wasn't available for dinner in my first visit, and I experienced those interruptions. I leave. I came back in a while later, not sure how long. And again, I attempted to listen. In 39 seconds, 4 interruptions to the conversation. Again, an average 1 interruption every 10 seconds. I ask you, family, are any of you able to learn in an environment in which the instruction is interrupted with other people's I, they, me stuff every 10 seconds? I know that the majority of people cannot learn in that environment. I know that the majority of people don't want to learn in that environment. And I know that I will be choosing to remove myself from those environments going forward even if it means I have to sacrifice the lesson. Does the importance and the significance of that statement resonate with you? A person in need of our Father's words in the time of the awakening is willing to sacrifice Father's lesson because of the interruptions perpetrated against the speaker. If that were to happen, who would bear responsibility for that person not receiving that lesson? If you were the one that had interrupted that lesson repeatedly, and you later learned that the person who was seeking never got the lesson and was never able to advance forward beyond where they were because you interrupted the instructor every 10 seconds for the entire lesson, would you feel that you bore the responsibility for that? Would you seek that person's forgiveness? Would you forgive yourself for that and be able to go forward? These are very, very real situations that come from interrupting people. And I know this because I work with families where we have to learn what just happened when somebody gets up and walks out of the house and drives away in the middle of a family meeting because they were so tired of being interrupted and not heard that they've decided it's no longer worth it. That's a real thing. I see it happen often. And I'm in the trenches with them, fighting to get them heard and help them build coping skills and tools to prevent them from having to walk away when they are not heard, because others will not cease speaking when it's not their turn, and try to put that family back together for their own best interest, because that's what they want. I beg you, family, understand the importance of interrupting the speaker and the detriment that comes from your unintentional words. Damage is being done. I love you, and this was very hard to say. And I did not want to be the one to bring you this lesson, ever. But I guess it's on me. Have a good day.